This week on Previews World Weekly, we tell you how you can back the comeback of comic book and game stores, discuss the best comic book artists of all time, in our opinion, and Ben from Gotham City Limit in Florida joins us to chat. It's all happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It is Wednesday. It is New Comic Book Day, sort of. We'll talk more about that in a second. And welcome to Previews World Weekly. I am one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I am your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day. Which
Awesome.
No update yet, but I will keep you apprised when there is one.
There you go. Actually, I've noticed you're big on the prayer hands lately. Is that you're getting religious on us, Ashton?
You know what? I don't know what to do with my hands. So.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. I think prayer hands is a safe bet. Like I think that no one will give you hell for breaking out the prayer hands when you don't know what to do with your hands.
Right. It's like that or finger guns.
Oh, so. Finger guns, right? Yeah. Although I'm a big fan of finger guns, I gotta say, but you got to watch where you point those things. That's some people might be offended. So look. We're quarantined. Everybody's quarantined. That's nothing new. But one of the interesting things that has happened is, me personally, I've been able to catch up on a lot of stuff in my Netflix queue, and also some recent stuff in my Netflix queue. So did you get a chance, Ashton, to watch the Chris Hemsworth movie, Extraction?
No. I watched Outer Banks instead twice,
right.
all the way
I've seen your tweets.
So.
No, respect.
So no, that's what I've been doing. Tell me about it.
No, it's cool. I just, it's funny. I was going to go see it. I was going to go watch it regardless, right? Because I'm an action movie junkie. I like bang, bang, shake, shake, shoot 'em up, all that stuff. That's just my steez. But the added bonus was it's directed by Sam Hargreaves, who's actually the Captain America Winter Soldier. He's basically the Avengers movie stuntman. But then on top of that, it's written and produced by the Russo brothers, who of course made the Avengers movies. They also made Community, which I've been binging recently as well. But what I did not know, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is it's based on a comic book.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. It's based on an Oni book called Soodad, that I think came out not that long ago. And Netflix grabbed the rights for it, and so they produced a movie about it. And I swear, no sooner had I finished watching the movie, which was good. The movie was cool. Like it's exactly what it's advertised to be. It's Chris Hemsworth punching, kicking, and shooting things. And it's got a simple plot, but sometimes simple plots are great because they're easy to latch on to, and you just have fun with it. But no sooner had I finished watching that movie, and I found out that Netflix had acquired another comic book property, which was The Old Guard from Image Comics, which is actually which is actually a Greg Rucka comic. And if I remember correctly, the first issue just dropped last year. But there's a new movie out, and they dropped a bunch of stills for the Charlize Theron film adaptation that's going to be coming out soon. And it's a cool concept, I got to be honest. Like, I'm actually super into it. So have you seen any of the images or anything like that for this movie yet?
No, I haven't, other than just like that one that I've seen like floating around Twitter, but that's about it.
Yeah. No, it looks cool. I'm very curious. Like there's a historical element to it. She's kind of like not immortal, but she's been a warrior throughout the years, and now I guess we're catching up to her in present time. It's Greg Rucka who gave us Wonder Woman. He wrote one of my favorite Wonder Woman stories called Hykedia. He's a fan favorite writer. A lot of people love his stuff. So yeah. Something to look forward to. We'll see what's up with The Old Guard when it drops on Netflix, hopefully soon. But let's talk more directly about comics real quick. Ashton, something happened today, and I feel like you're on the front lines of this particular event that's happening in comics right now. Can you tell us more about Back to Comeback?
Yeah, absolutely. So today we launched a campaign, Diamond Comic Distributors and Alliance Game Distributors, in partnership with our overarching brand of Jeffy Family Enterprises, launched a campaign called Back the Comeback, which is an opportunity to support your local comic book stores and your local game stores as they begin reopening, restarting, rebuilding across the country as some of these lockdown restrictions lift. So it's basically a multi-phased campaign that gives you the opportunity to show, again, love to those stores. And it's starting today with a social media challenge, hashtag back the comeback. And so we are imploring all of you guys to get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, post a video, post a picture, shout out your favorite comic store or game store, and like tag them, and then tag 5 of your friends and have them do the same thing. And it's just an opportunity to show those stores how much you love them and to kind of build this excitement around the relaunch of comics, which will be next Wednesday, May 20th. New comics will start shipping again.
There you go.
And you can get more information on backthecomeback.com. You can get all the information about the campaign. And we're also selling some pretty rad t-shirts. And whenever you purchase a t-shirt, the proceeds go towards Bink and also the Jack Vassal Memorial Fund. Had to think about that one. And that is a relief fund for the comic book stores and the game stores to kind of help them get back on their feet.
There you go. Now I got to ask you, Ashton, are you going to tag me or am I going to tag you? This is going to be a race, and I'm going to feel a little hurt if you don't tag me first.
You know what? I was waiting for my shirt because I wanted to wear the shirt, but I almost feel like I almost feel like I don't want to wait, and I kind of want to do it like literally tonight. So
Yeah. I've made a short list of people I think that'll jump on who are industry people who have always been kind to me. So I'm gonna go to blackmail them into participating and see how that works. But
do it.
It's for a good reason. And I just want to reiterate, new comics next Wednesday. Your local comic shop will have new stuff next Wednesday on May 20th. Like, that's a real deal. It's really happening. Of course, check with your local comic shop to see how they want to go about that, because some stores in certain states aren't fully open. They're doing curbside. Some states are doing mail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one last big item, and this has got you written all over it. I feel like ever since, it's weird. I feel like ever since you told me you were reading Dune, all I have seen every single week is Dune. And
you've been incepted. It's like in your brain now.
Right, yeah. And I just recently, last week, Boom announced a Dune comic. Like, they're doing an adaptation. Did you see this?
I did. Well, you sent it to me, and I had like I audibly squealed. Like, if we were in the office, you probably would have laughed at me.
Yes, I would have.
I would have deserved it. It would have been okay. But yeah, like they're doing so Dune House Atreides already exists as a novel. Frank Herbert's son wrote it. And it's a prequel to Dune that kind of gives you the background on like Duke Leto as he comes into power, where Duncan, Idaho comes from. Basically like Thufir Hawat, maybe Gurney, basically like where all of these people that are key members of House Atreides come from prior to their kerfuffle, I'll say, with the Harkonnen.
No, actually, I like the fact that Boom is not doing a straight adaptation of the novel, of the original novel. They're doing something that almost probably I'm imagining strategically is meant to complement the release of the movie for people who want to know more. So, I know this is actually a novel, but I think if you go watch the movie and you go read this comic, it'll give some people more access to the world in a way that maybe not a novel would always give people. So, and it would be available at your local comic shop. So that's actually pretty cool. So, all right. I could let you fangirl about Dune much longer, but we got a special guest, don't we? Yeah. All right. Yes, we do. So we're going to introduce our special guest real quick. But first, let's jump on into Comics in Quarantine. And for this week's episode, we're actually going to invite another special guest. We've been doing this the last couple of weeks, and it's been actually pretty fun. We've gotten some interesting conversations, and I think Ashton asked me just the other day. She was like, "We need something juicy for our guests." So I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna get something. We're gonna dig our teeth in next week with something really juicy that's probably going to divide the entire chat."
Can't wait.
But I want to introduce this week's guest. We're going to take it easy on him. Is Ben Kingsbury from Gotham City Limits. How's it going, Ben?
Amazing, Ashton, Troy. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be a part of this. I watch you guys all the time, so it's so cool to actually be on here now. So yeah.
And needless to say, you're clearly a Batman fan. I'm guessing.
Obviously, Batman Beyond, Batman, obviously Gotham City Limits, the name of my store, right? But I love Spider-Man just as much. I just thought that obviously the DC world has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, no. I mean, you know what? It's a divide that has existed for a long time. But I've always been accused of being a Marvel guy, but I actually enjoy quite a bit of DC. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
so,
I've never been one or the other.
right? Yeah,
Not picking one or the other. In fact, there's a lot of independent stuff now that I like almost as much as I enjoy Marvel and DC. I mean,
yeah,
Xenoscope, Image, IDW. I
yeah.
don't know if Ashton has read the comic Finger Guns, but if she likes Finger Guns, it might be right up her alley.
Right. Actually,
Yeah,
I love the
yeah.
premise for that one.
Oh, there's so many amazing stuff. I mean, there's just so much cool stuff going on right now. The fact that that we're almost started up again is the best news I could have gotten all month.
So actually, I want to ask you, like, just real quickly, how has the quarantine been impacting Gotham City Limit? How are things been
Well,
going?
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and at the beginning of April, we had a stay-at-home order for all non-essential businesses. I mean, I don't think anybody likes being called non-essential, right? I feel like my business is kind of essential to me, but we wanted to do what was best for the community, so we shut down for the month of April, and then our governor at the beginning of May told us we could open in limited capacity. Obviously, I've got masks and gloves, and we're cleaning everything down in here. But in the month of April, it was tough. It was tough being closed. For me, I do this because I love people and I love the interaction between the locals and the new people who come in every week. And so not having that was the hardest part for me. Obviously, not making money is no fun, but it was tough. I got to catch up on a lot of reading though. I'm optimistic about it. There was a lot of really cool things. They got the new death metal coming out this summer, so I went back and reread metal. Went back and reread all of the Deceased. I thought that story is fantastic. We got the Dead Planet coming. Doctor Doom. The first 6 issues have been fantastic. And then, like I was saying, a couple of independents. Decorum, amazing, by Jonathan Hickman. And then Transformers versus Terminator, the first issue of that. That was another underground hit. Really good, fun to read. So.
Right. I mean, if you could call Transformers and Terminator underground, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. But putting them together in a comic book and it's selling as well as, let's say, Avengers, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. No, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, the other thing I did was Disney Plus. I went back and rewatched all of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. That was like my childhood, right? So that stuff was, and those stories are so good because they took them right out of the comic book.
Right out of the comic book.
I mean, so you got all those Chris Claremont stories. And then again, I haven't had a month off since I started this place 2 years ago. So I tried to think of it as, enjoy the time, right? And then I knew eventually we would get back started again. And then when we did, I got to tell you guys, the hashtag about the comeback is the greatest thing you could have done, because that's how everybody feels around here. Even being open for 2 weeks now, man, if we had a lot of people there just are super excited just to start getting their hands on some new stuff again.
No, absolutely. Actually, I'm glad you dropped a few reading suggestions, because now we're going to play Comics in Quarantine. It's not really a game, I guess, but at the same time, I'm going to actually start with Ashton here, because I'm going to challenge you, Ashton, not to mention Archie, but I doubt it.
Okay, you know what? I'm not this week, but I've gone for like a Star Wars theme.
Oh, okay.
And it's upside down.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was going through like the bookshelf in my basement, and I found this item.
Okay.
I could not be more excited. Look at how it dates itself. Let me move my hand out of the way and turn it the right way. What am I doing?
I mean, it dates itself.
To include the Phantom Menace.
Oh wow! Wow. Okay.
I looked through this, and it conveniently, unless like my brother and I ripped it out, which I guess is possible, it conveniently is missing a page that says when it was published.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it's so many like what are considered now like non-canon characters.
Oh yeah, don't remind me.
And like yo.
Who's that? I can't even see it. That's awesome.
Oh.
Executor Cedrus. Oh, okay. Nice.
So the reason I bring this up is because whenever my brother and I acquired this book sometime in the early 2000s, let me see if I can find the page. It's gonna take me forever. It's gonna take me so long to find. No, here it is. Okay. when we acquired this book, it was the first time I'd ever seen this character in my life.
Oh, Prince
and I was
Izar.
like, yo, who is he? Yeah, he's so cool. And then I read like his whole thing. At first, like I was like, I don't know who this person is. He just looks dope.
Mhm.
And I read his whole thing, and then come to find out he's in Shadow of the Empire, which is also downstairs in that same bookcase. And I love that character for no reason other than he's just a bad guy for the sake of being bad, and he has his own agenda, and that's my favorite villain. And this book was my introduction to him.
Nice. No, I love that. You know, it's so weird. Those essential guides. I remember actually when I was working at a comic book store, people used to pick them up all the time, and I always was like, why are people getting these? But it's like people want the crash course. Like they just want to delve into the universe. So, you know, those are a lot of fun actually, especially when you're like young.
Right, and it's got like the most ridiculous index in the back and like a glossary of like, I was looking through it and I was like, what is this? Like,
Wow.
And it's got an index of like, here's the page for this person. Like, okay, thank you for that.
Wow. I love that. Actually, that kind of takes me back because like I definitely had one that was mostly Star Wars vehicles, I think. That was kind of like an essential guide on top of that. So
You put out new ones, Troy.
No, I know.
Yeah, they got those guides out right now. Oh yeah. But it's cooler what you have, Ashton, with the non-canon or whatever.
The non-canon, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those characters are amazing. That is a blast from the past right there.
I feel like your book is
right.
Your book is like an underground tome now. Like it's like, you know what?
I'd never seen that book before.
I've never seen a book before either. That's hilarious.
I think what we did in April, though, we just go back and look and see what we actually have. I forget all the time because I accumulate so much stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you just go back and look at your bookshelf, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, dang, I forgot I even had that. So
yeah. Actually, Ben, what are you reading right now? What is your personal pick right now?
Well, I mean, I got to be honest with you, and I've told everybody from the beginning in here that Deceased is by far my favorite storyline going on, period. They did the original 6-part series with the one John Constantine tie-in, and now they're doing the Unkillables, which will finish up awesomely next week on Wednesday when the 3rd part comes out, and then we got Dead Planet coming. And Tom Taylor has been a fan of mine. I've been a fan of his, excuse me. I don't think he knows me. For a long time, ever since he did Injustice, and the stories he writes, the humor. I like reading stories where anything can happen and it's not predictable. So that is, I mean, I read that all the time. And then, like I said, everything from the Metal, trying to get ready for the new Scott Snyder Death Metal, and then I'm ready for some new second issue of Decorum and Transformers versus Terminator.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, I need to play catch up on Transformers versus Terminator. Like that's something I'm actually very curious about myself. Awesome. As for me, actually, I for some reason I've been hesitant to like start it back up because I knew it would be kind of a not a task, but it would be a bit of a hefty read, as you know, as far as like these Marvel books go. Like I kind of feel like Jonathan Hickman released like the Marvel's version of The Watchmen a few years ago, and finally Marvel finished it. And I'm talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. By Jonathan Hickman and Dustin Weaver. This is one that like I have been stockpiling because like the book came out, I want to say in 2011, and I was reading it in real time, but then it just stopped. Like they just stopped putting them out. And then Jonathan Hickman went off to Image and he started producing other comics like Manhattan Projects, which is a great book. But then, interestingly enough, when Hickman came back to do the X-Men, Marvel snuck in the last 2 issues. And I don't think a lot of people realize this, but they finished this storyline. And so because of that, 4 years have passed. And actually, no, it's not 4 years, more than 4 years. 9 years have passed. And because of that, like I kind of told myself, like, well, I'm going to have to start over again and reread it. And it's been sitting on the spinner rack waiting for me to start it over again. And I finally started over again. And I got to tell you, if you love Marvels or Earth X, you know, like those type of books where like they take they take the history of the Marvel universe and like all these large ideas in the Marvel universe and try to find some sort of cohesive whole that like just tells the entire story of Marvel, this is the series for you. And I really do say, like, seriously, this is like their version of Watchmen. This is probably the closest Marvel has ever come to Watchmen, I want to say. And the reason I say that is because it's just so expansive. It's so storied. It's so steeped in history, but an alternate history, just like Watchmen. And to give you a rough idea of how this works, it's S.H.I.E.L.D. Like it is Shield, like the agency, the United Nations agency that has been part of the Marvel universe at least roughly since the '60s. But what Hickman introduces is that no, Shield has been around longer. A matter of fact, they've been around since ancient Egypt, and they show that the actual image of Shield, the Falcon that has become like the emblem of Shield, was actually something that was a shield that was brandished by Imhotep during a battle with the Brood in ancient Egypt, and so from there you kind of get this labyrinth like history of like Shield that we didn't know about, and it involves Leonardo da Vinci, it involves Isaac Newton, it involves Nikolai Tesla, and it involves Howard Stark and Reed Richards' father. And it's just absolutely amazing. It's big imagination, and it's actually one of those books. I've always said this about. I've said this about Grant Morrison, but I also can say this about Jonathan Hickman. It's one of those books that even if it's just 22 or 30 pages of story per issue, you have to read it slowly and you kind of savor each page because you're getting so much information, not just from the dialogue, but also from the images. And so you'll get to like page 17 and you'll be like, oh, wait, hold on. And then you'll go back 5 or 6 pages. And you're like, oh, that's what that was. So it's absolutely worth just ponying up, buying it, pick it up from your local comic shop. I just can't say enough about this book, and I'm so glad that they finished it. And I'm glad I'm back on this journey to read the conclusion. So Shield, there you go. Anything else before we move on to our social swamp segment this week, guys?
Well, it seems like.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, Ashton. Sorry.
No, you're good. I want to know really quick, Troy, where you landed with the Deadly Class thing, because you were like binging it for a while, and then I want to say you stopped because you couldn't get them.
Yeah,
because
right.
the comic shop closed.
Yeah. So like, actually, my other favorite book is Deadly Class right now, and I'm all caught up. Like I was super behind, and then like during the quarantine, I decided I was just going to burn through the rest of the series, and now I'm just on a big old cliffhanger. Like characters are back from the dead, characters are betraying each other. Like there's tons of teenage. I basically described every issue of Deadly Class, but yeah, I'm just hanging in the wind now. I don't know what's up, but yeah. I'm sorry, Ben. What were you about to say?
No, I'd never, you brought up Shield, and somehow that has slipped past my radar as far as something I've read. But the reason that I love Jonathan Hickman, what he did with House X and Powers of 10 and what he's done with Decorum, as he has made the, like you said, labyrinth. There are these giant stories that are all super connected, and you can get a couple issues in and then be like, oh, it's connected to the first issue, and stuff like that. Those kind of writers are easily my favorite. And so, I mean, that's something that as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go find.
Yeah, no, I seriously recommend it to everybody. Like, and actually, I've seen so many people getting super critical of his X-Men run. Like, oh, it's like
it was amazing.
It's too weird. Like the X-Men are acting weird. Like it doesn't link up with the continuity. I keep telling them, like, guys, just be patient. Like if you have read any Jonathan Hickman book, it's going to tie together and it's going to pay off.
Well, now it's so much stuff. I mean, for a while there, I think there was like 20 straight weeks of X-Men titles coming out when the House of X1 started, and then they powered through it. But that was easily one of the more popular titles I've ever sold in this store. I thought Jonathan Hickman did a wonderful job. In fact, they were so deep that I had to read each issue multiple times just to kind of connect it all. It was kind of like watching The Matrix almost,
Yeah. No, I mean 100%, and that's what Grant Morrison does that really well. Jonathan Hickman does that really well, where like you really do get a lot of bang for your buck. So yeah, again, I can't recommend it enough. Like I'm already enjoying it. I'm probably only like 5 issues in, and I'm rereading it. Like I'm not discovering anything new right now, but at the same time, I am because I'm rereading it. So yeah, absolutely love it. All right, how about a little social swamp time? I'm going to kick it over to Ashton, and she's going to take over. She's going to take the wheels of the show, and we're going to talk about a thing that I won't give away just yet. All right.
Hey guys. So we asked you, I wasn't paying attention, I was staring out the window and then it came back. Hi. We asked you on social media, I believe this is on the Free Comic Book Day page, to tell us in your completely biased opinion, who is the greatest comic book artist of all time, which is a super fun question.
Yeah.
So let's unpack some of your answers, and then we'll talk about our super biased opinions. So James Lovelace, solid name, said Jack Kirby's imagination and ingenuity reached far beyond comics. Even some say having a hand in the psychedelic style of the late 60s.
That's fair.
Cynthia Craigbaum said Alex Ross, he produced my absolute favorite versions of Superman and Justice League. Superman Peace on Earth brings me to tears every time I read it. Jeff Strand said Barry Kitson is way underappreciated. Rob Levon said so many great ones omitted. George Perez would be my choice for superheroes, but Archie Comics artist Harry Lucy is a forgotten gem. I am so sorry for myself. I apologize. Dawn Abdullah Hamill says Carl Banks with a lot of exclamation points.
That's Carl Barks.
Barks. Oh man, I got excited. I got excited for the exclamation points.
Like Johnny, our production manager, is a huge Disney guy, so he was going to correct you on that one for sure.
Right. Well, sorry. I cared about the hype. I was too caught up in the hype.
There you go. So what about you, Ben? Who do you consider to be the greatest comic book artist of all time?
Well, this is going to be a probably standard answer, but Alex Ross is easily my favorite. I was a big, giant Norman Rockwell fan growing up, and it was the realism in painting. And then when I found Alex Ross in Kingdom Come, I've been collecting his stuff exclusively. I mean, I'm looking for black and white. I'm looking for any kind of original art he has. I've got an entire wall at my house of just Alex Ross stuff. So he's easily my personal favorite. I think the most influential, though, and he still doesn't get enough credit to this day, and you guys mentioned it, is Jack Kirby. Not specifically just because you like his style, but without him breaking into that style, we wouldn't have the modern artists that we have today.
Yeah.
So I think Alex Ross, easily my favorite personally, but I think Jack Kirby probably had the biggest effect, as far as I can tell, on the comic industry.
No, absolutely. I think people would fail to realize this, but Jack Kirby wasn't Jack Kirby up until a point. You know, his art style was kind of like a house style, like he was just kind of like cranking it out. And then he kind of hit a point where he was just going super bombastic, like, you know, like just like truthfully hard-hitting art, like his hard-hitting art style that came to define his look. So absolutely.
Right, and his look is still awesome. I mean, everybody loves going and looking at those old comics, right? But it's just that he said he had to be the first one. Like you said, someone had to take a chance and do something a little different. And now we get all the way to, Art Germ, which is probably my favorite modern day comic book artist. But he's able to do all that stuff because someone was able, like Jack Kirby, was willing to go outside and try something new. So.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Ashton? Who do you consider to be the greatest comic book artist of all time?
Okay, so I have to kind of out myself here and say that until I started working at Diamond, which was about 2.5 years ago, my understanding of like the complexities of like a comic book team or like a creative team weren't that great. Like I wasn't honed in on that. I was just reading stories like kind of generally. So I don't know that I'm fit to really answer this question, but I can echo Ben's statement about Alex Ross, because the first time I was ever exposed to any of his art was actually in San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago, because the Alex Ross booth is like kind of by our booth. And I remember walking through it and being like, oh my God, like there's no way this is real. Like his art is completely breathtaking. So, I mean, absolutely nothing like that exists. And it's so real, but
I mean, his Kingdom
like unrealistic in a way that it feels like it's not possible that it exists.
Right.
It's so crazy.
Have you guys seen Alex Ross stuff on social media when he posts like his artwork from when he was 8, 9, 10 years old?
Right. Yeah.
And then a modern one. So he did like an old Superman, and then the one where it's like, wait a minute, did you just take a picture or is that a painting? It's unbelievable.
No, it's absolutely.
There's an Alex Ross Star Wars that's got Vader just in complete black with his lightsaber up, and then
Mhm.
all the stormtroopers behind him are illuminated in red. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it might be the greatest painting that I've ever seen in my life. It's right up there. You're gonna definitely have to look on that up online sometime. Yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Look
there
at
it is.
that.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean, it
I'm
looks like a photo.
Oh
It
my
doesn't even-
god.
It doesn't even look like a painting to me. It's unbelievable how
Oh,
amazing that
wow.
is.
I'm shocked I've never seen that before.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah. That thing's framed, hanging up on my wall in my house.
Oh, yeah. No,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah,
That's what you do.
amazing.
Oh
Too
my
nice.
god.
I love it. I'm gonna out myself a little bit here because being in quarantine, I've been a little trigger happy on the purchases online, and I ended up on Frank Frazetta's website. And I'm actually still waiting for it, but I have a framed piece from Frank Frazetta coming that's going to get
Awesome.
is going to end up in this room somehow, some way. So yeah, I'm actually eagerly anticipating that. Beyond Frank Frazetta, actually, I do want to point out I do have a Alex Ross signed copy that I've had since I was like 16, I want to say, of Marvels over there at the top with the old school acetate cover. So yeah, I'm actually, I think everybody's an Alex Ross fan. Alex Ross converts people.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's like probably the best way to convert people into comic book readers, actually, and I'd stick by that. But yeah, my personal favorites. I would definitely say Ash is going to be like, oh wow, surprise X-Men, but
Yeah.
Frank Quitely. When I got out of comics, him and Brian Hitch were two of the artists that got me back into comics. Not just because of the stories they were attached to, but also just because their stuff just leaps off of the page. Like, it's fully animated, and I probably shouldn't even be looking at this because I'm gonna get lost in the artwork. But it just feels animated. Like, it feels like it moves. Like, it just feels like it's alive. Like, this is like a classic image by Alex Ross, and it looks like it's just coming at you. It's like daring you to look back at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Outside of that, I'm a big fan of Eduardo Rizzo. He did 100 Bullets. And one of the things I love about him is his attention to detail. One of the things he constantly does is he puts artwork not just in the background, but also the foreground. And sometimes it's plot related, sometimes it's not. But he really just goes out of his way to kind of build like kind of a world by doing that, I think, which is really interesting.
Mhm.
Like I was just talking about with Shield, where you have to kind of go back and reread stuff sometimes to kind of connect the dots. I feel like Rizzo, whether the script writer wanted him to or not, provides that for you as an artist, because you kind of go back and you're like, oh wait, what was that little bit in the background? Like, oh, that's part of the story, or did he just add that? Like, it's just sometimes it's just interesting character details, like just little small things that the character is doing that tells you more about the character that I don't even think was in the script. Outside of that, I will always and forever be a lifelong John Byrne fan. I will not apologize for that any day of the week. Byrne, of course, did X-Men, but I was trying to find a good page. Byrne did X-Men, of course. He also did She-Hulk. He also did Wonder Woman. He's done pretty much every character. He got a reputation in comics at one point for being called Mr. Fix-It, because he would just kind of come into a book when it was probably about to die, and he would just jump on it, and he would just work his artistic and writing muscle on the book, and like it would just become a hit again. And yeah, he's the reason I read Fantastic Four. It's actually not Jack Kirby, it was actually John Byrne, because like I remember reading his back issues and just being like, oh, I actually like the Fantastic Four. I did not know this about myself. So yeah, I mean, those are some of my favorites. Outside of that, I always have to give a shout out to Art Adams. He's also another favorite of mine, and I actually got to meet him at San Diego Comic-Con, which was nice. So there you go. And actually going to open it up to the chat if we get a chance to. I don't know if anybody's out there, but did you guys see the best of 2000 AD? Oh, actually,
Yeah.
actually, they were nice. They were nice enough to give me a copy. So there you go.
Going off now.
I'm showing off now. This show is just me showing off for like 45
yeah.
minutes. That's all it is.
Ashley
but yeah.
was showing off earlier, so all right, with her Star Wars book. So I guess that's just kind of how it goes. All right.
No, she totally was. Like, yeah, it's all about nerd cred. We're all about just showcasing our swag, and you win because you're in a comic book store. So like, you get all the swag.
Right. Well, I win every day of my life. Yeah, every day I'm already a winner. So let me ask you a question for you two specifically. Do you guys collect any homage covers? Like, is there any specific one cover that when they do an homage to it, you need to collect every time? Like, as an example for me, Hobgoblin's first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man, where he's ripping the spider suit. I collect every single homage, whether it's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or Spider-Man or any other title of those. Do you have anything like that?
Huh. Actually, that's a good one. I don't know. Like the first thing I could think of, I actually love that.
And then I have every single homage that they've made of that. Like I said, from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to New Spider-Man, where they had Spider-Man in a black suit ripping the Red Goblin suit. So the homages are very popular, but that one and then the Amazing Spider-Man, obviously the McFarlane, I think, are probably two of the more popular homages to collect.
I see that one a lot. I see Crisis
all the time.
Crisis on Infinite Earths with the death of Supergirl. I see that a lot. And I actually see a lot of the Action Comics debut issue of Superman. There's always like some version of him slamming the car. You know. Actually, another confession. I had to slap my own hand, because I was definitely looking at apparently, Marvel released the hip hop covers like a few years ago, and I was on BestBuy.com. And
the internet away from you, Troy.
Yeah, I know. Cannot be trusted. Cannot be trusted. That stimulus check just went straight to, like,
you're helping the economy. You're helping the economy.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. It's going back.
The shelf. I saw that they did "Mama Said Knock You Out," the LL Cool J cover, but they did a vinyl that was "The Punisher" by Tim Bradstreet, and I swear to you guys, like my finger hovered over that checkout button for like a good 15 minutes. So that's probably the closest homage cover I've gone to, like to following it around.
Actually collecting,
I just awesome. Love it. I love Tim Bradstreet, so
you can't go wrong with that. That's cool.
Can't go wrong. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, so I don't know, Ashton, did you have one, or is this like do you have a favorite homage cover?
Not particularly, not one that I'm like dead set on, like I need it every time it shows up, but I will say I do like Ice Cream Man from Image Comics, and they did an homage cover to the Action Comics #1 that you're talking about, but it's an ice cream truck.
That's right, yeah.
That was awesome. That was that one, man. Another, you couldn't get enough of those comics. That ice cream truck homage.
That was great. Yeah, and I know Image a few years ago did like I think it was like an anniversary thing where they did a bunch of like, Image characters and other characters covers, and they would do little throwback covers and stuff like that. Yeah, I love that stuff. Like, I think it's important to remind people of the history of comics at all times, because I feel like we're in this subculture where we're sharing the information, but we're not sharing the information out to other people about like the history of this industry. So, but on that note, that's almost it for the show. It's time for Comic Shop Shout Out. What do we have here this week, Ashton?
Who would it make sense to give a Comic Shop shout out to? Obviously, City Limit in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. So, Ben, we're going to open it up to you. Tell us a little bit about your shop.
All right, well, that's awesome. Yeah, so I started Gotham City Limit here in Jacksonville, Florida in January 2018. So a little bit more of a modern comic book store. But we got this place started about 2 years ago, and we have been doing nothing but amazing things here in Jacksonville. One of the big things, the reason that I started this place was because just what you were talking about, the generation and passing down information. Comic books, the industry, a lot like sports, are generational to me. You have many I can talk to a 14-year-old about an Amazing Spider-Man comic and a 65-year-old about an Amazing Spider-Man comic. Right. And that is what, part of the allure and the attraction of doing something like this. So we have really, and I thought with all the pop culture stuff going on, not just comic books, but movies and TV shows, we're a comic book store, but we're a lot more than that. We try to engage the community here a lot. We're big sponsors of our minor league sports team. So we hosted DC Superhero Night and Marvel Superhero Night at our local hockey team. We made Batman jerseys and Spider-Man jerseys they played in this year.
Oh, nice.
So so we did that. Our local baseball team, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, our AA affiliate of the Miami Marlins, they have a new comic book that was supposed to come out on Free Comic Book Day, but unfortunately everything got shut down. So sometime this summer, but we are sponsoring our very own Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp comic book. Yep, Into the
nice.
Shrimpverse. Yeah, so that is presented by Gotham City Limit exclusively. I just think it's a real big part. I don't do this because for money. I mean, obviously we all work to make money and pay our bills, but I do this to be a part of the community and to grow the fan base and to let people know. I mean, Calvin and Hobbes got me started reading. I didn't think I liked to read. I've got 3 incredibly intelligent sisters who were always nonstop readers, and it was never for me. But then I realized it wasn't that I didn't like reading. I just needed to find something that I actually liked reading.
Absolutely.
And so I think this stuff is so important. We have a kids section in here where we get some youngsters started at a young age, like I did. And then it really is beneficial to everybody. So, now that we got to open up at the beginning of May, we got new comics coming on the 20th. I am waiting desperately for Ashton to tell me when I can have a free comic book day party again. This, hopefully this summer, maybe early fall. But yeah, so we got new stuff coming in next week. So I couldn't be more excited just to be out and about and hopefully get this economy going again. The stimulus checks were great, but we're gonna have to pay for those things eventually. So we got to get that money back into the system.
Awesome. No, thank you very much, Ben, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
No, I mean, absolute pleasure. You guys are amazing. You make it super easy to talk to, and the fact that you guys are helping the small guy. There's a lot of stores around the country that are struggling and really want to get back started again. And the fact that you guys are willing to bring some of us on and give us a national kind of outlook is amazing. So I want to say thank you to you too, and keep up the good work. All right.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us, Ben. Guys, check out Gotham City Limits. Apparently, there's something else in Jacksonville besides Fred Durst. So there you go.
Yeah. Jacksonville, man. You just wait. 10 years from now, Jacksonville's going to be one of the leading cities in the country. This place is awesome. And our weather's fantastic, all right?
There you go. We're going to have to check it out. We'll see if we can.
Yeah, anytime you guys are down, you make sure you come say hi, all right?
Awesome. Thank you, Ben.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. I really appreciate you.
And I guess that's it for Previews World Weekly. Yeah, that was 45 minutes.
Let's do instructions for, why do you forget this every week?
What are we forgetting?
The instructions for how to shout out your comic shop.
Yes. I mean, I was actually going to get to that, but you know what? You got it.
I don't think I believe you at all. Anyway. If you want to have us feature your wonderful local comic shop on Previews World Weekly, find us on social media and tag your shop, and also use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS, and we will find it in the internet and we will feature your shop.
There you go. And we got to give a shout out to Back the Comeback. Like, that is a very important hashtag right now. And I mean, you can actually also shout out your comic shop using Back the Comeback because that's actually part of the campaign. And it's not just limited to celebs in the comic book world. If you haven't seen the Steve Jeppy video, you can definitely watch it on the Previews World channel right now. He explains it. It's basically a challenge to consumers, creators, retailers. If you're in comics, this is the hashtag for you. So definitely support that, and definitely back the comeback of your local comic book store, and go to backthecomeback.com, and be sure, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. No, and just be sure to check with your local comic shop to find out how you can back the comeback. Just don't walk into your local comic shop because they might be closed right now, but they might have other alternatives. They might have other alternatives for you. So be sure to check with them first. Is that it?
Yeah, how funny would it be? You just show up to your comic shop and it's closed, and you're just there pounding on the door and I want to support you.
I want in. Let me in. And Johnny's saying that's it. But you know what, Johnny, you're wrong. That's not it. Because I forgot to mention that we're doing Quiplash on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Definitely join us for Previews Game Night. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday. And it usually goes off the rails because we're pretty much unscripted and unfiltered, and you never know what This one over here is going to say. Oh wait, no, this one over here is going to say. There you go.
Whatever. Whatever. Sometimes it gets a little dicey.
It does. Actually, I think we're in a competition. I think at first it was Natasha, and then it became you for. No,
Yeah.
it was you. Then it was Natasha, and now it's me. So
Yeah.
we're gonna tag each other in to see who can get the diciest on the next game night. And give our host poor Johnny a heart attack. The production manager and our editor. All right, guys. That is it for Previews World Weekly. I've been one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I've been your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And we will see you guys at the spinner rack. Catch you later.
For real.